Hey guys, welcome to another episode of The Choice. Today we have Mauricio with us, and he's going to be telling us a lot about his journey in real estate, where he started, how he got to where he is, and everything in between. We're excited to learn about your day. I noticed you got the big calendar already set for next year or this year
Oh,
because
you
we're
know it,
already
man.
here. And how does that help you? I didn't even notice that big thing until I just said that. But like, is
I
that
mean,
something that's
honestly,
important?
yeah, it kind of helped. So me and my wife spent an entire weekend just planning out our entire year, and just to be able to visually see it on one page, just kind of makes it a little bit more attainable and measurable, so that we can make sure that we're planning ahead for the things that we have coming up. Like we've got events from, with other agents, we've got events with our past clients, events that we want to showcase to the public, and so seeing it all visually and how we've kind of color coordinated everything is making it easier for us to make sure that we're staying on top of what we need to do to make those events possible.
Well, that's
So I
good.
love it, man. I
That's
love
good.
having that visual representation.
Well, let's take a trip back to the beginning. Like, so when did
Yeah.
you start? First, actually, before when you started, when did you first think about real estate as an option, and then when did you actually, become an agent?
Yeah, man. So it's funny, dude. I actually was thinking about this earlier. I had no idea what real estate even was. It was never something that was talked about. My parents didn't, my parents only owned their own property. They didn't own any investment property. So we had no idea. I had no idea about real estate and kind of the broad scope that it entails. But funny enough, when I was in college, my neighbor across the street from the house that I grew up in, she was this older Romanian lady. She'd been living there for years. She owned this 2-unit, no, 3-unit building there. And over the summers when I would go home and visit, I'd be nice to her. I'd cut her grass. I'd shovel I'd clean up her yard and things like that. And we built a really good relationship. Like it was a very good friendship. And one summer, I remember her top unit, her third floor, caught on fire. And she was this older lady again. She was kind of like I think she was in her late 70s.
Mhm.
And when the unit caught on fire, she's like, "Yeah, I no longer want to, hold on to this building. I just want to, I'm thinking of selling it." And at the time being, I think I was like a sophomore in college. I didn't even know anything about real estate investing. It wasn't even in my radar. But she had told me, she's like, "Hey, do you want to buy it? I'll sell it to you for 20,000." And to me at the time, again, you don't know what you don't know, right? So I was like, where am I going to come up with that money? I'm broke. I'm a college kid. I'm like nothing, right? So I let go of that opportunity. Again, it's like
Ooh,
that red car theory, right? If you're not thinking about it, it's flying right over your head. And
yeah.
I regret it. I still regret it to this day because that building, I looked it up the other day. It's worth like at least 420 right now. And it could have been a nice way to kind of start building my wealth if I would have just known that those kind of opportunities existed.
Mhm.
So that was kind of like my first glimpse into like the possibility of what you can do with real estate. I didn't actually get licensed until after college. Once my wife and I got married, the logical next step for us was we were thinking about buying our own house. And so as we thought about that, that's what kind of piqued my interest into wanting to get my real estate license. I actually ended up getting licensed myself, and I helped us buy our first property. And so, going for full circle now that I know the opportunities that existed, knowing what I know now, if I would have known that back when she presented that opportunity to me back then, uh, I think I would have been living a completely different life at this point and had maybe more investment properties than I do now.
Yeah.
And it just kind of goes to show if you're not ready for opportunities, and this kind of goes with everything that we do, right? If you're not ready or open to an opportunity or the 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 way that an opportunity presents itself, you're not going to see the value in it. And so kind of goes full circle to where we're at now, where we're at with our group within EXP and things like that. So
It's
yeah, it's
true.
crazy, man.
That's absolutely true. So what year did you actually start then?
So I got licensed in November of 2017. So like late November, actually, right after Thanksgiving. Um, I took my test, got licensed, and so I mean I wouldn't even count that as the year because obviously December's coming up. So
Yeah.
I started actually doing real estate in the beginning of 2018.
Wow. So like that seems recent because we're getting old, but like actually that's
Right.
like 6 years ago.
I
That's
know, dude. Can you
that's a
believe it?
long
It's been six
time.
years.
That's a long time. So
Yeah.
when you got started, is real estate something you just dove both feet in and just full time guns blazing, or was
God.
it kind of stair step like a lot of people's stories tends to be? Like what how was your journey to go full time?
Yeah, you know what? Like I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I just knew I wanted to work for myself. I knew I wanted to be my own boss. And I thought real estate was the best avenue to do that. So my
Mhm.
experience prior to real estate, I used to work for a national paint company, Sherwin-Williams, a massive paint company. And my job with them was I was an outside sales rep. So I would literally go meet with contractors and developers, go to their projects. Once the drywall was up, they would call me to help them kind of recommend products and finishes and things like that. And so I was kind of already in the real estate realm in a way, but just not selling real estate itself. I was selling a byproduct of real estate. But I got to talking with a lot of these developers and I made really good relationships with some of them. Actually, some of them are actually my first clients. I helped them purchase, tear downs when they build new construction. And that was a cool kind of way into the industry. So, like it was crazy to see just the potential that real estate can have. But to me, where I was in my life, my wife was we were expecting our first kid,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to just jump out of, I was working a corporate job, salary, benefits,
Yeah.
the 401k, everything, right? And so leaving that and jumping head on to real estate with whereas obviously all commission based, you make
Hmm.
your own hours, you make your own schedule, and you get paid when you close a deal. There's no guaranteed income. I felt very frightened in where I was. So I didn't jump all in right away. I was part-time for probably about 3 to 4 months until I fully got a grasp of how to run the business, how to generate leads, and how to actually close clients
Hmm.
that I essentially quit what I was doing and focused all in within real estate. So it did take me about 4 or 5 months to make the full jump into full time.
Well, so what made you make the choice to do real estate? Like you could have done a lot of things, right? You could have done cars, you could have started a business, you could have done well a myriad
Yeah,
of things. You were already in corporate. Like I know you said you wanted to be your own boss. You could have done that like 800 different ways. Why real estate?
right. Yeah, I mean, you know what? It was one of those things where one of my good buddies at the time, he was a top producer, still is a heavy producer in real estate. And just seeing his lifestyle and see how he was doing things, I actually got a chance to shadow him before I got licensed.
Mhm.
And it kind of showed me what's possible. Like if you really focus and dedicate yourself to the business, um, you can make a very, very good living selling real estate.
Mhm.
And that's what I wanted to do. I got a glimpse of it and I was like, I want to do what he's doing because he's successful and I want to do it for myself. So that's why I chose real estate. Yeah, I mean, it
Gotcha.
was it was him, honestly.
Okay, well, so and now that you've been in it for a while, you've had some pretty darn good success in it. What would you say so far for you has been the best source of getting leads that actually close for you?
Yeah. So for me, when I first started, man, it was my sphere of influence was priority, right?
Hmm.
And I was at a very unique point in my life where, my wife and I had just gotten married. We
Hmm.
were expecting our first kid. And, again, the logical next step after you've gone to college, you've gotten yourself a nice uh big big boy job, right? Is you save up to buy a house. And so a lot of my friends were in that similar position. Like they were also, their life was evolving. They were getting ready for that next phase in their life. So a lot of them were planning on buying a house. So I think the fact that I was in their shoes as well, kind of simultaneously, helped me better align myself with them, help them better realize that I was the best person for the job because they already knew me and trusted me. So it was an easy way to convert them to clients. And so a lot of my first clients came from sphere of influence.
Makes sense.
Second to that was social media, making sure that I had a good online presence and running some good performing social media ads. I was an early adapter to Facebook ads back when there was no fair housing restrictions. There was no, targeting like it was like the Wild Wild West. You could target whatever you wanted and
Yeah.
Facebook would approve it, right? Obviously now it's a completely different marketing
Yeah.
in that and advertising in Facebook. The cost of lead is a lot more expensive.
Hmm.
But back then that was a big source of my business too. That's what built I was able to build a very strong database, and then it was just a matter of retargeting and re-engaging with that database to convert. So I would say a good 50-50 came from Sphere as well as the online sources that I had.
Yeah, geez, I bet you, too bad you didn't have one place back then. You could have just kept in contact with everybody
Dude,
all the time and
I know, man.
everything. But that's okay. So what would you say today, now that you have things pretty dialed in, what's
Yeah.
what's the most productive part of your day?
The most productive part of my day is the
Hmm.
stuff that actually brings me more business, right?
Okay.
It's the things that unfortunately a lot of agents either choose not to do or don't do it to the full extent.
Hmm.
And that's prospecting, man. Like I spend between
Hmm.
2 to 3 hours every single day prospecting for new business. So I'm always reaching out to either my sphere, my past clients. I purchase like lead lists, right? So
Hmm.
seller leads, distressed sellers, all types of seller leads, and I make sure that I'm cold calling these people. I think a lot of agents unfortunately are afraid of that rejection that comes with cold calling, but once you
Hmm.
get over that and just trust the process, it becomes very, very beneficial, man. Actually, funny, kind of cool story. One of my agents, uh, his first day cold calling this year, right? First cold call he
Hmm.
did, he landed an appointment, got the listing on the market, and he already has multiple offers. And so cold
And so
calling
how
works
did
if you're
he get that lit? Like what was it? I mean, obviously people could get lists through things like our email campaigns that then generate
yeah.
things through one place and then they can call opportunities or you can pay for leads or you can get social media leads or do all these different options. How did he get that list for that specific story?
He did I believe he just did a circle prospect list. So he just called the
That'll do it.
neighborhood. Like he called in a neighborhood in his area. He called them up, told them the market was changing in that area if they wanted to know what their current home value looked like. And he got an appointment. He got a seller that was curious, got the price that made sense for him, and he's like, "Yeah, let's sell it."
That's a
So,
great that's great. I think everybody can learn from that, right? Like no matter what you're doing, everything has some level of success, and the more you can
oh
scale
yeah,
it, the better. And then the more,
yeah,
efficient you can be with your time, the better. So, how did you, I guess at this point, scale your level of the clients that you have to what it is? And by the way, we didn't even preface this. How many deals do you do a year? Like this is like I don't even know. I just
yeah,
see that
yeah.
you're closing something like every week
Thank you.
you're closing something, right? So how
So
did you close?
yeah, so I would say my journey with real estate has been very unique. My very first year in real estate, I did 18 transactions,
Good.
and it's been kind of going up ever since, right? So I'm on year six. This last year we did 64 transactions.
Jeez, that's more than one a week.
So,
So scaling 64 transactions. How do you scale to 64 transactions? Like how do you
oh
keep your
man,
time make sense? And then more importantly, how do you make sure to carve out that prospecting time that we know is ever important?
man. So I'm a big believer in systems and processes, man. If you don't have a system for something that you're going to be duplicating, like you can't duplicate it if there's no system, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so my entire process, I have SOPs for my entire process for onboarding a buyer, onboarding a seller. Like what does that all look like? That
Yeah.
way it's all systematic and it's fluid throughout the entire process, right? So that's
Yeah.
very, very important is staying organized with your systems and processes. The other thing is keeping yourself on track with your goals. I use my calendar. Obviously, I've got this calendar gives me an overview of the entire year, but then I have my I use my Google Calendar to plan out my days and my weeks. And
Mm-hmm.
then I'm a big fan of journaling, dude. I still write my stuff down every single day of
That's
what I
good.
have going on, what I need to be focusing on. I write my affirmations, my gratitude, everything that I need that's important in my business is somewhere. I'm tracking it somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So tracking, measuring and tracking, because what doesn't get measured can get tracked, right? So
Yeah, you know what's
that's the
wild?
easy way.
I'm just it's cool because the more you're saying this, the more I'm really excited about this platform that we just launched because it literally does all that. It tracks your all your SOPs. You can make all your SOPs. It does all you can even build classes and stuff through it. So it's freaking
That's
it
amazing.
matches everything that you're explaining, which is I'm glad that we put it up that way because it sounds like it's going to be what people need. But On top of that, so you're able to maximize your time clearly, right? When you're doing 64 transactions, what have you put in place as a team structure, if any, to alleviate your time? Do you have a buyer's agent? Do you have a listing agent specifically, or is it all just you and maybe like some transaction coordination? Like how are you running things to keep it efficient?
Yeah. Yeah. So my system is very simple. It's me and my wife. So we are a
Mhm.
team together, me and my wife. So we divvy up the clients. If two clients need to see a property at the same time, she's taking one, I'm taking the other, right? So
Right.
we try to make sure that we're managing our clients that way. We have one admin, and the she takes care of everything from transaction coordination to past client follow up, lead management, and everything in between. So she kind of runs my CRM behind the
Mhm.
scenes, and I kind of oversee her kind of her notes and making sure that if there's anything that needs my immediate attention or clients that need that I need to or leads that I need to reach out immediately, we've got the notes. I know who I need to contact today, what I need to talk to them about. And so again, it's all very systematic. But yeah, we're a very small operation, dude. It's just technically the three of us.
That's awesome. So while you're having all this success, and everybody likes to talk about that part, what would you
Yeah.
actually say today is the biggest struggle in your business? Like, what's the biggest difficulty you're actually facing?
I mean, one of the biggest difficulties right now is really just making sure that we're not letting things fall through the cracks, right?
Mhm.
We still run a lot of online campaigns, so we do get a ton of online leads that come into our database,
Mhm.
and the money, I'll tell you with everything, right? The money's in the follow-up. You're not gonna you can't expect to convert, at least an online lead, you can't expect to convert them on the first or second phone call. It sometimes takes 10, 12, 15 calls later and months of following up to actually see any sort of conversion from these online leads. So it is a very longer time frame to
Mhm.
stay on top of them. But we've had, unfortunately, because we run so many ads, we've had some situations where some things have fallen through the cracks, and we reach out to someone maybe a month too late, and when then they tell us, "Hey, I'm actually already under contract, or I
Ah.
just purchased something," right? So we hate those phone calls, and we hate missing opportunities. So that's something that we're heavily focusing on this year to make sure that we're not letting anything fall through the cracks in terms of the lead flow and the clients that we want to take on.
That's ever important. And so, if you could go back to the very beginning of when you started your business, but for all the people watching now, pretending that it's 2023, because obviously back then you would have just eaten up Facebook ads because it was unfair. But but
Right. Yeah.
if you had to restart today, what would you actually do differently to make sure that you could get to where you are or even further faster and more efficiently with less roadblocks? What would you have done different?
I mean, I think one of the things I would have done right away, and it's something that it took me a little bit long to do this time around, right, is align myself with like-minded individuals that can help hold me accountable and teach me some of the things that I don't know that are working in the market, right? So
Mhm.
surrounding myself with good people, man. When I started, unfortunately, I didn't do my due diligence of interviewing other brokerages, and I just went with the one I knew because my friend was there, and I was like, okay, you're here, I'll go here. And I quickly realized that unfortunately that environment of the agents that were in that office just didn't align with what I was looking for in the business in terms of the marketing and the new age of doing business. Everybody
Mhm.
was very antiquated in their processes, and we're very reluctant to change when I was bringing up new ideas, and so I just felt like that environment just wasn't for me. So I ended up just starting my own because I was like, well, I can't find what I'm looking for. I might as well just start it myself.
Mhm.
And obviously, fast forward now, I'm in a place where, we have amazing individuals that are here to help guide and support. Someone like you, Mike, the Batista twins. So like all these people are willing to share what's working in their
Mhm.
market and want to see you succeed. And I think that alone, surrounding yourself with those kind of people, will not only motivate you to get to their level, but you'll learn a lot faster than if you were just to go out there and learn this stuff on your own.
Yeah, and so let's dig a little bit deeper on that aspect because everybody here doesn't know this. So you owned a real estate brokerage, right? And how long did
Yeah.
you own that brokerage? How many agents did you have? What give us a little bit of a story. Like when did you start that? How many agents did you have? Like you don't own it anymore. What happened and why?
Yeah, for sure, man. So, like I said, I started in late 2017, early 2018. I was with a big box brokerage, and I was there for I'm gonna say probably like 8 months before I realized that this wasn't the environment or the people that I wanted to learn from or surround myself with.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as I was looking for new opportunities, one of my other friends had just started this brokerage, Cobblestone Realty, and
Mm-hmm.
they were more focused on the things that I aligned myself with. They were very heavily focused on technology, marketing, having a CRM, having trying different ways to generate leads.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I saw a lot of value. So I ended up switching over and joining them. They were very heavily focused on the investing side of the business. They were buying properties, flipping them, and selling them themselves. And so that's why they started the brokerage. My focus has always been on the residential side of the business.
Mm-hmm.
And so I grew that part of the business very, very rapidly with these tools and resources that were being provided to us. So much so that I actually ended up taking over. I bought them out back in 2020, actually February of 2020, right before the lockdown. I took over the
Ah.
business, and um, yeah, it was quite the learning experience. At the time we had about 28, 29 agents.
Yeah.
And then when I took over, obviously the change of leadership, the change in kind of the stuff that I wanted to implement, not everybody was on board, so we lost a couple people there. But I saw it as a blessing because I knew the people that were sticking around were the people that truly saw the vision and where I wanted to kind of take the business.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had it for about 2.5 years through the pandemic, and
Mm-hmm.
um, after that, that's when I kind of I wanted something bigger, and I wanted to try something different with the trajectory of where I wanted my business. My life was growing at the time too. Like our family was growing. We were expecting our baby number three, and we just knew that um, the brokerage model was broken. I knew that there was no way that I could scale it past a certain point without um, either sacrificing more time or more money.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was looking for a place that I can align myself with, still be able to, create that growth. And that's when I got connected with you guys, and kind of figured out we had a very similar story, right? Like you had your own brokerage,
Yeah.
you had a couple offices, and you guys made the merge over to EXP to be able to plug in the tools and resources and just be able to provide this at a much larger scale.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, this is exactly what I was looking for in terms of where I see myself and my growth and the impact that I can make in the industry. And so last year, took a few months, but last year we made the decision to merge the brokerage over to EXP and align ourselves with everyone here in the Wolfpack.
Yeah, and so with that shift, what have you been able to do with that newfound time? Because I know when I owned a brokerage, I sure spent a lot of time making sure that agents were taken care of, the compliance was done proper and everything else. And with my reallocated time, I, with Austin, have been able to finally dial in the one place platform that we were building out for 6 years and now try to expand the amount of training and assets we can give to all of our agents because now we don't have to worry about the paperwork, the compliance, and stuff like that. What have you been able to do with the reallocation of your hours?
I mean, one of the biggest thing I was able to do is refocus more time on my production, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
prior to prior to making the switch and joining you guys here at EXP, uh, my time was split between my own production and then handling everything else for the business, the
Mm-hmm.
admin, the paperwork, training, mentoring, all that stuff, right? And so a lot of time was allocated to that, so that when we made the switch, we were still able to offer that. We were still able to give our agents mentorship, better training, better resources, better tools to help them improve their skills in their business. So then that allowed me to then have more time to do that myself, right? I'm a big
Mm-hmm.
believer in practice what you preach and lead by example. So I took the tools, I took the resources, I implemented, and I was able to increase my production at the end of 2023. And so I think Now going into this year, my focus is kind of shifting back to showing our agents and anyone that's willing to learn how these tools and resources can be implemented so that you can also scale. I mean, what we're
Mhm.
doing is not rocket science, and
No.
it's very duplicatable
Yeah.
if you put in the time, energy, and effort to make it a successful part of your business. And so that's how I've been spending most of my time now is production and helping other agents see the value in what we offer here.
Yeah. I mean, that just makes a ton of sense to me. I guess to round things out, what outside of real estate do you think connects people to you? Because when I talk to a lot of agents that do a lot of business, there's one thing that I always find that is correlated. A lot of people get along with them, right? So, how do you get
Yeah.
so many people to like you? Like, what's your likability factor? Why Mauricio? Like, why does the random person on the street always say that's my person? Or if they see you online, what's the
Yeah.
differentiation there? And like, what's your it factor, I guess?
I mean, I think I like to portray that my focus is always on educating our clientele, making sure that they know every step of the way, whether they're buying or selling, they have a firm understanding of the process and can go through it very seamlessly through our systems and processes that we have in place. So I think that definitely helps out a lot. And then I think relatability is a big thing too. Like again, I'm a family man. I've got three boys, three toddlers. Well, I got a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old, right? So, sharing a lot of that, of those kind of personal journey that we're going through as parent, as learning parents, right? Because we're learning this journey of becoming parents as well.
Yeah.
A lot of our clients are able to relate because they're in the similar boat. They have young kids, and so just having that in common, I think, builds on that likability and that trust. And a lot of times, those clients end up either having to upgrade to a bigger house if their family keeps growing,
Yeah.
or recommending us to other like-minded people that we can help them, and just makes that connection that much easier when they can relate to you.
So now I gotta ask because I have kids the same age, well, similar ages. I have a 1 year old and a 2 year old. I can't imagine
Yeah.
my wife also being an agent. So you said sometimes you have clients at the same time. Do you guys bring the kids, or what are you doing there? Do you get a
we
babysitter? What do you
we've had to, yeah, we of
logistically? I
course.
can't imagine like how.
Yeah, it's tough, and we have to make it work one way or another. Sometimes
Uh,
we are able to get somebody to come watch them for a few hours while we're out showing properties or meeting with clients. Other times when it's like last minute, we bring them along, man. Sometimes we'll just bring them along, and I think, and that kind of goes back to the relatability. I mean, some people can then see, hey, we're just like you. We have a family, and sometimes we have to make things work in our business, but then they can see that this is a family business. It's my wife and I that kind of run the show. And
yeah.
again, I think that builds to the likability, is that they see, hey, we're just like you. We have our own family. We have to make things work in order to service our clients, and we'll go above and beyond for them as well. But sometimes, we have to bring our kids along with us. So
It's funny. One time one of my most expensive sale, well, not most expensive, but it was in the millions. And I sold this house and these people, they loved me because they were referred to me by another, family in the same neighborhood. And this, anybody who knows me, they know I love cars. And so I had some pretty crazy cars at the time. And they
yeah,
would always ask me about them and all this other stuff. And but the wife would just kept asking me about my family. So I'd show her, and I showed her some photos. She's like, I have
nice.
to meet them before we move. So weirdly enough, I actually had some clients basically force me to bring my wife and kid just so they could come meet them because they really wanted to know what our whole family was like. And I've never had that happen
Yeah,
before, but it's a really cool thing. And I think that's a really cool bonus of the industry because we truly get to just be who we are. And if people like that, great.
yeah.
If people don't like that, well, there's
You
millions of people out
exactly,
there.
man. You get to be your authentic self, and the people that will gravitate to that are the ones you want to work with anyway, right? And the ones that
Yeah.
don't are probably not best suited for you anyway. So kind of it's a win-win.
All righty. Well, anything for the good of the order. Do you have anything if you have an agent just sitting here and listening to us talk this long, what would you tell them about the industry, the market right now, and anything else that you would leave them with?
Yeah, man. There's always going to be noise in the industry. There's always going to be something or another. There's always going to be the shiny new object that comes. I think if you can avoid those distractions and focus on the fundamentals of your business, which is, as a real estate agent, our number one goal should be bringing in leads, right? Generating new business. If you don't have new business, you don't have a business. You just have a hobby. And so finding ways and surrounding yourself with people that are going to help you generate business, help you with the proper training, the most modern training that's working in today's, client climate and not what worked 20 years ago.
Mhm.
You want to surround yourself with those kind of people. And so I would say if anybody's ever struggling to grow their business and scale their business, there's ways people have done it. We're a clear example of if you implement the right tools, you can make it happen in your own way.
Mhm.
And we're always open to sharing that. So, I'll give an open invitation to anybody that wants to learn more about what we're doing. Reach out to me, reach out to Garth. We're here to help, we're here to guide, and ultimately we want to see everybody succeed.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of The Choice. I look forward to seeing you on the next one.